get together. Let us all get together. Let us all get together because it's reading time. I see Wendy and Lisa and Eric. I see Sincere and Walter and Johnny. I see Mary and Sue and Juliet because it's reading time. Let us all get together. Let us all get together. Let us all get together because it's reading time. Hello, my friends and family, and welcome to Mrs. Farmer and Friends Family Reading Time. I have a new book to read to you, and also my friends will be introducing some new activities. I have today with me Explosive E and the boys, Wendy Wiggles, and Loving Lisa. They have a whole lot of activities just around the book I'll be reading. I think I showed it to you earlier. The Tiny Seed by Eric Carle. But before I read the book, I have so many people to thank. I need to do that right now. First, I need to thank First Up Champions for Early Education, also the United Way of Southeastern PA and Southern New Jersey, the Free Library and its Read by Fourth program, Let's Get Moving, and the Get Healthy Philly initiative. Without them, none of this would happen. But before I begin reading the book, I need to provide you an update. So, as you know, Mrs. Farmer has already recorded 2 episodes. When you attend 2 of those episodes and now the third episode, did you know that Mrs. Farmer will actually send you the book for free? Not only will she send you the book, she'll send you the materials for those activities related to the book. Just like the activities that will be done here, you'll get to do them. But the only way you'll be able to get them is that you have to email Mrs. Farmer. So, above Mrs. Farmer's head is her email address. It is mrs.farmer at firstup.org. Let me say that again. It's mrs.farmer at firstup.org. Email me, and this is what you have to put in the email. You have to put your name and your address, the state and the city and state, and the zip code. And let me know which books you want. If you want all 3 books, put it in the email. Say, Mrs. Farmer, I want the Tiny Seed, and I want the book, and I want the book. And the reason why I'm not telling you the other 2 names is because you got to watch the videos. And if you want the materials, just say, Mrs. Farmer, I need those materials. Mrs. Farmer will send you those materials only if you email her. So you can ask an adult or your parent and say, I want Mrs. Farmer to send me the books and the materials. Families, it's a great way for you to begin to start your child's personal library. So that's the goal of Mrs. Farmer and Friends Family Reading Time. So your child can start their own library. Mrs. Farmer has started her own library with all those books she's read to you and many more. So please email Mrs. Farmer. Mrs. Farmer has all of those books stacked in a place, and she really needs to get rid of them so I can be able to send you more. I also have those materials waiting in my house, waiting to give them to you. So email Mrs. Farmer, okay? One more time, Mrs. Farmer at firstup.org. Okay, great. Now I'm going to get started reading The Tiny Seed by Eric Carle. Mrs. Farmer is having trouble with pages. Sometimes we all have problems with pages. It is autumn. Do you know what autumn is? It's actually the season of fall. Fall. Sometimes we call it autumn. A strong wind is blowing. It blows flower seeds high in the air and carries them far across the land. One of the seeds is tiny, smaller than any of the other seeds. Will it be able to keep up with the others? And where are they all going? Oh my. Do you see all of those seeds? And can you find the tiny seed? Because the name of the story is called The Tiny Seed. I actually see the tiny seed. Parents, before you get ready to read the book, become very, very familiar with the pictures in the story, because the pictures in the story actually provide much more discussion, which Loving Lisa will be sharing with us later when you read the story. So become very familiar with everything in the book. One of the seeds flies higher than the others. Up, up it goes. It flies too high, and the sun's hot rays burn it up. But the seed sails on with the others. That's a new word, kind of. Sails. What else sails? Boats sail, ships sail. Sometimes submarines, when they come up out of the water, they sail. This time, the word seed is used when the wind is blowing. It's just moving smoothly along. So, when doing that, make sure you're able to define the word families when becoming familiar with the book. Another seed lands on a tall and icy mountain. The ice never melts and the seed cannot grow. The rest of the seeds fly on, but the tiny seed does not go as fast as the others. There are some places where the ice never melts. Where Mrs. Farmer lives in the eastern part of the United States, I get snow, but it melts. And right now we're in the season of spring, but there are other places in our globe that ice never melts. Now they fly over the ocean. One seed falls into the water and drowns. The others sail on with the wind, but the tiny seed does not go as high as others. I wonder why the tiny seed can't go as high. Is it because it's too tiny? It could be. It could be. One seed drifts down onto the desert and it's hot and dry, and the seed cannot grow. Now the seed is flying very low, but the wind pushes it with others. A desert. A desert is a place where it's not a lot of water and it's just sun all the time, all the time. And sometimes you need to hydrate. If you remember in one of my other episodes, Wendy Wiggles encourages us to hydrate. So that's why one of the seeds burned up and couldn't sail on with the others. Finally, the wind stops and the seed falls gently down on the ground. A bird comes by and eats one seed. Oh no! The seed is not eaten. It's so small that the bird does not see it. And if you look in the picture, you'll see the tiny seed So the bird couldn't eat the tiny seed because the tiny seed was just too tiny, too tiny. But the bird ate the big seeds. Now it's winter. After their long trip, the seeds settle down. They look just as if they are going to sleep in the earth. Snow falls and covers them like a soft white blanket. A hungry mouse that also lives in the ground eats a seed for his lunch. No! But the tiny seed lies very still and the mouse does not see it. Saved again. The tiny seed isn't eaten because the mouse doesn't see it. One thing that winter does, families, when you read the story, when it snows, some of us like snow and some of us don't. But one thing that the snow does is blankets the earth and it keeps it warm. I think in another story, we read about being comfy, comfy. And that's what the snow does. So when the spring comes, as I said, where I am, it's springtime. It can sail on. Let's see what happens. Now it's spring. After a few months, the snow has melted. It is really spring. Birds fly by, the sun shines, rain falls, the seed grows so round and full, they start to burst open a little. Now they are not seeds anymore. They are plants. First, they send roots down into the earth. Then their little stems and leaves begin to grow up toward the sun and air. There is another plant that grows much faster than the new little plants. It is a big, fat seed, and it takes all the sunlight and the rain away from the one of the small new plants. And the little plant, it dies. I'm sad. I'm sad. Let Mrs. Farmer get herself together. Okay, she got herself together. The tiny seed hasn't begun to grow yet. It will be too late. Hurry! But finally, it starts to grow into a plant. Hooray, hooray, hooray! The tiny seed is down in the ground, so it's going to start growing. The warm weather also brings the children out to play. They too have been waiting for the sun in springtime. The child doesn't see the plants as he runs along and oh, am I reading that right? It says he breaks one. Now it cannot grow. What? He stepped on the plant and he breaks one and it can't grow anymore. What? When we plant or when we near plants outside, be very gentle. Make sure you don't step on them so they don't break because their plants are real pretty and we want them to grow. Miss Farmer getting sad here. The tiny plant that grew from the tiny seed is growing fast, but its neighbor grows even faster. Before the tiny plant has 3 leaves, the other plant has 7. Oh, we're doing math now, parents. The tiny seed had 3 and the bigger plant has 7. That's a wonderful math activity. Wonderful math activity. Take time to get to know what's in here because part of being literate is math related too. Science is in this too if you want to talk about science and growing. Let's keep going. But what is happening? First, there are footsteps. Then a shadow looms over them. Then a hand reaches down and breaks off the flower. Uh-oh. Sometimes we do see pretty, pretty flowers and we pick them. But now we need to find out why this hand picked the flower. Sometimes we do the same thing. Oh, it's so sweet. A boy has picked the flower to give to a friend. I think that was a nice gesture. And when we pick a flower and give it to somebody, put it in some water so we can live a little longer. That was a nice gesture. Mrs. Farmer just introduced you to a new word. A gesture is when you show a kindness, a nice gesture. You extend a kindness. He extended a kindness. New word, families. Families, you see, I'm gonna add gesture to my door here. Gesture. New word, new word. We learning so much. It is summer. Now the tiny plant from the seed is all gone. It grows on and on. It doesn't stop. The sun shines on it and the rain waters it. It has many leaves. It grows taller and taller. It is taller than the people. It is taller than the trees. It is taller than the houses. It's a tall flower. And now a flower grows on it. People come from far and near to look at this flower. It is the tallest flower they have ever seen. It is a giant flower. Giant. New word. New word. Giant. It's bigger than tall, taller than small. It's giant. It's giant. All summer long, the birds and the bees and the butterflies come visiting. They have never seen such a big and beautiful flower. Now it is autumn. Autumn. This book actually takes you through the seasons: winter, spring, summer, fall, or autumn, spring, fall, and winter. So this book actually takes you to the seasons. It's a science activity because we get to see a life cycle based on the seasons. What a wonderful topic to talk about with your children. Now it's autumn. The days grow shorter, the nights grow cooler, and the wind carries yellow and red leaves past the flower. Some petals drop from the giant flower and they sail along with bright leaves over the land and down to the ground. And that whole cycle will start again. The wind blows harder. The flower has lost almost all its petals and it sways and it bends away from the wind. But when the wind grows stronger and shakes the flower, once more the wind shakes the flower. And this time the flower seed pod. Seed pod. New word. We're going to be introduced today by our friends about seed pods. I won't spoil it. Pod opens. Out come many tiny seeds that quickly sail far away on the wind. And that's the end of our story. The Tiny Seed by Eric Carle. That I enjoyed that book. We learned some new words: gesture, sail, autumn, pod. Mrs. Farmer has to add that to a door. So when you come to episode 4, you'll see new words. Yes, you'll see new words. Families, remember, you can do the same thing. Blank paper, nice big marker. Put those words up there. When you run out of room, get an envelope. Put them in, save them. Use them as often as you can. Often as you can. Well, you know what? Mrs. Farmer's going to stop talking for a minute because Mrs. Farmer's friends, because this is planting time. It's springtime in the northeastern part of the country. It's spring. And so my friends are going to be doing some planting. And who am I going to introduce first? I'm going to introduce, and my buddy just left the camera, Explosive E and the boys who have a planting activity. We'll be doing two planting activities, one indoors and one outdoors, because not all of us have space to plant outdoors. So, can you grow things inside? You sure can. And Explosive E and the boys will introduce us to that right now. Explosive E and the boys, take it away.
Good morning. Say hi.
Hi.
And what's your name?
Sincere.
Sincere is joining us today. Edward couldn't join us because he has his own virtual class he has to do today. So when you're at home and you have to have that older sibling who's in class, just be mindful and be respectful when you're doing your work that they also have work as well. So today we're going to talk. Mrs. Farmer's been talking about the tiny seed. So previously, Sincere has been working on his own project of doing a flower. So we have the flower, the stem, the leaves, and the roots, the parts of the tree. So we're going to show you Sincere's picture that he drew that looks almost just like this one. And he named all the parts of the flower. Now, make sure you write Mrs. Farmer so you can get you a copy and make your own and hang up in your room. So, Sincere, we're going to start with what? We have a what?
A basket.
No, a pot, a flower pot. So we have our flower pot. We have our what?
Seed.
Yeah, and we may have a tiny seed in here, a tiny seed.
This one.
But we have to open it first. Then we need to. But what's the most important thing we need?
We need water.
Oh, well, yes, we do need water. But what's besides water?
Dirt.
We need soil or dirt. So we have our potting mix that you can get from Mr. Farmer. It's potting soil. And any kind of dirt will do, soil will do
something.
Will do something. Well, now it's your turn. So you have to put these seeds down. Because now it's your turn to put the dirt in the flower pot. So we're going to use a cup because we don't have a scooper. So we're going to use a cup. Or do you want to dump it in?
I'll just dump it.
Oh, well, I'll just dump it. Then you can help me. Help me lift the bag. Come on into the camera, Sincere. So now we're dumping the dirt or the soil all the way in. And I think this should be quite enough.
Yeah.
3/4 of the way full.
I have to make it down.
Well, yes, we're going to mash it down in 1 second. Can you come over here because you're just dancing everywhere instead of in the space? Okay, so I want you to push it down with the cup. You can push it down with your hands. Go ahead. Yes, make sure that you have a space where you lay down a trash bag, an old sheet, something, so they don't get dirt everywhere all over the house. Yes, it's going to stink. Now, so before, let's up your sleeves. You should have rolled your sleeves up first, bud.
All right.
How'd you get soil up the seeds is beyond me. So now, while you're in here, I want you to make a hole. I want you to make a little hole in the middle. And we're going to dump these seeds. We have sweet peas. So you see our little sweet peas. And if you write Mrs. Farmer, you will get you a pack of sweet. You can get any kind of seeds. We don't know what kind Mrs. Farmer's going to get. But we got us some sweet pea seeds from Mrs. Farmer in our potting soil. So let's see if it's a tiny seed in here. Let's see. Is there a tiny seed in there? Oh, it's a bunch of tiny seeds. Can we show the people? Can we show them? So let's see. You see, there's a little tiny seed. This is a tiny, yeah, it's really tiny. Look at that. It's really tiny. Now, what I want you to do, Sincere, is I want you to dump these in the hole that you made. Put them all in there. And now what I want you to do is cover up the hole. Now I want you to make another hole because we're going to open up the other pack of sweet pea seeds. Because we want this flower pot to be really pretty with all these sweet pea flowers coming out of here. Explosive E is getting old because these bags, I don't remember these bags being this tough to open. And again, so here's your hand. And I want you to put them in your new hole that you made. And now I want you to cover that hole up. Now, what I want you to do right now while I'm in here talking, I want you to go get some water out of the bathroom. Not a lot. Just enough. Just enough. Just enough. So while Sincere is going to get the water, make sure that you have all he's trying to open the door. Hold on, give me 1 second. While you're at home.
Good. I was gonna say this is all live, so this happens. This happens, family.
And while you're at home doing these, and make sure you write Mrs. Farmer so you can get all of these supplies because you can do all of this. Can you shut the door, please? And I'm going to let you pour the water in 1 second. Thank you. So now you're going to pour the water in. You have to pour it on this side and on this side because remember where you put the flowers at, those seeds. And yes, there you go. Now I want you to cover that all of it up now. And then we have to put where?
Here.
Where do we have to put the flower pot? In the window.
In the window.
But I need you to, how about you hold it just like this? And we're going to turn it around so you can show them that you're going to put it in the window. So here's our window. And Sincere is going to put it in the window with my assistance. And then, because it gets that sunlight. And let's open up the blinds.
So it can get.
Yeah, so we can get some more sunlight in here. And then there is our flower pot. So there are no more seeds. We did a great activity. Did you have fun planting the flowers?
Yeah.
So in a couple of weeks, we'll revisit and see how our flowers grew. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.
Don't forget to write Mrs. Farmer.
Bye.
Thank you so much, Explosive E and the boys. That was such a fun activity. And just like Explosive E said, you can get a pot, soil, seeds. I'll even provide you with a scoop so you can scoop that soil if you email mrs.farmer@firstup.org. I'll send it to you. Send me your name, address, city, state, zip code, and tell me what you need. Mrs. Farmer will gladly send it to you. I sure will. But also, guess what? Many of us have a space outside to be able to plant. Guess what? Wendy Wiggles has a space outside to be able to plant. I'm going to let Wendy Wiggles tell you more about that idea. Wendy Wiggles, take it away.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to invite you all outside with me to my garden. I was out there this morning planting some seeds. I like to grow sometimes some sunflowers, and I would love for you all to come out with us to the backyard in my neighborhood and see what's happening. So come on out. Hi, everyone. Wendy Wiggles here, back outside, enjoying some beautiful fresh air on this crisp spring morning. And I'm thinking about that story we read by Eric Carle, The Tiny Seed. And I remember in that story that the seeds were flying high and low through the seasons, and some of them rested in the ground and were underground over the winter. Well, I have some seeds from a plant that grew in my garden last summer. It was a tall, tall sunflower. And so I cut the top of the sunflower head off, and you can see where the seeds used to be inside this sunflower seed. There's some empty spots, but then there's some plenty of seeds left. I'm going to take some of these seeds right now and plant them in the earth. So here we have over here, I'm going to show you where they're going to be planted. I have some soil that I've moved aside. And you can see if we move the soil aside and dig into the earth, we have room. Oh, there's a seed already there. We can take the seeds right from the seed head and plant them and scatter them around. We can scatter them into the earth and then cover them up with the soil and maybe pat them down gently. Little stick in the way. Oh, there's my dog Rocky. He wants to get into the action. Hey, Rocky. And we'll cover the seeds up a little bit. And we know once the seeds are in the ground, they need a little water. And I don't know if it's going to rain today, so we're going to add a little water onto the seeds and let them get started growing in the earth. Hopefully a mouse won't come along and eat one of the seeds like they did in the story of the tiny seed. But maybe next time we'll come back and visit and see if they sprouted into plants. Take care, everyone. See you back on Mrs. Farmer's Family Reading Time. Take care.
Wendy Wiggles, we really enjoyed that. That was just like when I read the tiny seed, the pod, and she shook it off and plant. I can't wait. You're going to have to come in another couple of episodes when we check in just to see how it's growing. We will circle back, but you got to keep watching. You got to keep watching. And now, without further ado, my friend Loving Lisa, she keeps us all together here at Mrs. Farmer and Friends Family Reading Time because sometimes we just get a bit loose here. But Loving Lisa helps us bring it all in. Loving Lisa, what do you have for us?
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be together and to get to talk to each other about the book. Thank you for all the planting. Sunflowers are my favorite flower. I didn't think that they were that easy to grow. Who knew? So excited about that. But yes, I'd love to talk about the book. And I love also that we planted some seeds inside and outside because as Mrs. Farmer said, we all have different houses and spaces. So that's just really exciting. So for our conversation today, I was thinking about a couple of different things that came to mind during the book. I loved that the book talked about the seasons, that it took us through the seasons. And I think it's interesting that just as people, we live through the seasons, but we also have seasons in our own lives. We have times when we need more rest. We have times when we do a lot more stuff and we're more productive. Is that a new word for us, productive? But, you know, we have times.
Productive. Mrs. Farmer is going to write that down. Productive. What is productive, by the way, Loving Lisa?
So like the word sounds, like, so the root of that is like to produce. So to make things, right? So when you think of a plant, you know, or the seed produces the plant, or, you know, fruits are produced from a tree. So productive means when you create things. So as people, we can be productive when we, you know, I read my book, I cleaned the house, I ate lunch. Like that's me being productive, doing many different things. So there are different ways of being productive in our lives. And
I really like that. Productive.
Did you want to say something, Wendy?
Yes, I love that you connected that. I was just thinking how during the different seasons of the year, like sometimes in the winter, I'm not as productive. I just want to stay cuddled up. And I know Mrs. Farmer mentioned like the blanket and cozy. That's how I feel a lot in the winter. But then when it gets to be this time of year, as we're thinking about spring, I like to be outside like you saw in the video and planting seeds and digging in my garden and get busy with spring cleaning. And I feel more productive and busy and active in the spring. That's one of my favorite seasons. How about you all?
I'm a summer baby. Oh boy, am I a summer baby. Born in June, I love the summer. But I also love the spring as well because you get to go outdoors. The daylight is longer, as we read in the tiny seed. When it's winter, the day is shorter, it gets darker. Sometimes you go out, it's dark, you come home, it's dark. I love the summer.
For me, I am a summer baby as well. I'm born in the hottest month of the year is August. I love the summer. I'm not a fan of spring. Um, I like when it's like the hottest days of the year. I Spring is like reminds me of fall. It's kind of cold and you want to be in the house. But as it gets hotter, I'm outside every day. Every day. The boys and I are at parks, we're at the zoo, we're at everything that you could possibly imagine. So for that reason alone, Hasten's here. Now he's back.
He heard about the park. He's ready to go to the park, Dad. He said, come
Yes,
on, let's
that's
go.
tomorrow. It rained
He's
today.
always ready for the park, right?
It rained today, so we're not going to the park, but tomorrow's supposed to be 80 degrees tomorrow. So, I will be outside. So I'm more productive in the summer versus any other season.
I love that. And I love that we all have different seasons we like. So I was raised in Nigeria where it's literally like summer all year long. So I love the hot weather, but I was born in the fall. So I love the fall as well. So I'm a summer and fall person. But yes, the winter, I just want to be inside my house eating things during the winter. I don't want to be productive then. But it's so great that we have seasons in our lives. So times when we do more, times when we do less, sometimes we have more energy and more ideas, and that's okay. Sometimes we have seasons in a week, where we're like, oh, I had all this energy on Monday and now it's Friday, I'm a little tired. That happens too, and that's completely okay. The other thing I really wanted us to discuss was the way that the flower brought so much joy to so many people and even, creatures, right? So the bees enjoyed it, birds enjoyed it, the people enjoyed it. But just that one thing can bring so much joy and have different uses for so many people. What did you think about that?
Lisa, I'll jump in. First, I love that you pointed out that how sometimes we have seasons and ups and downs in a week or even in a day, and it is okay. So I appreciate you pointing that out. But yes, I think when you saw me out in the garden planting seeds, I think that's one reason I like to do that. It brings me joy to be out in the earth. And then I think I remember us talking about anticipation in one of our other sessions, but anticipating that the flower will grow and it will bring joy. And even though I plant in my own garden at my house, maybe somebody will walk by my house and I can share the joy with the rest of the world. And I love that. That's awesome.
I like that too. I love flowers. I love receiving flowers. I love purchasing them, regardless of the season. Because even in the winter, it still just perks up my day. I also love sharing it as well with my friends. It always perks up my day. So yeah, I agree with you, Wendy Wiggles.
So while y'all were sitting here talking about anticipation, he's very, very, very impatient because he wants the flowers to grow. He said, "Can I see the flowers?" So I told him he has to be patient.
Explosive E, impatient.
Right.
Impatient.
So
Impatient. Sincere, we have to wait.
You have to wait for the flower to grow. So he's not being patient. So I told him he has to learn we have to wait and water it and watch it grow. But he's growing, as you can tell. See, show them what happens. Because see, what happens is you were growing and you're growing and your little teeth are falling out, which means a bigger tooth is going to come in.
So I love that you just said patient, because that was one of the things I wanted to talk about, that with seeds and planting, it requires patience. We can't plant a flower the day we want to see it, right? We have to think about it in advance, prepare, plan, anticipate, and patiently wait before the harvest comes later, if you will. So yes, we have to be patient. Thank you for mentioning that. We're all on the same wavelength here. Wavelength, that's another word. So many new words, but just means that we're all thinking about the same things, like we're in sync and we're connected in our thoughts. So, and the last thing I wanted to talk about, if nobody wanted to say anything about patience, was that there was one in the story. You remember when it talked about how the tiny seeds plant had 3 leaves and the bigger plant had 7? That just reminded me that we are so different and unique. I am not I'm not Miss Wendy Wiggles. I am not Explosive E. I am not Mrs. Farmer. We are all different. And it's good to notice those differences, but not compare ourselves and make ourselves feel bad. Like, I only have 3, leaves. I want to have 7. Let's enjoy who we are and where we are and know that we are different than other people and that that's what makes us special. What do you think about that?
I love that you brought that up. That's what makes Mrs. Farmer and Friends so wonderful, because Mrs. Farmer and Friends, each of us brings something special. And because we all bring something different and special, that's what makes this recording so great, because we all have wonderful ideas that we share, and we want to share it with all of our families. Thank you for pointing that out, loving Lisa.
Yes, we are all loving Lisa. That is so true. Thank you all. I love being part of Mrs. Farmer's family time. Yes. And I'm different than you all, and that's okay. And we can all cherish and celebrate our uniqueness.
That's interesting. You talk about us being different. The one thing I teach the boys is that they are different. Even though they are brothers, they are different. And you have to be yourself. And people may want you to be like them, but you don't be like them. You be yourself. That's what makes you unique, and that makes you who you are. And I love all of that about this part, about being a part of Mrs. Farmer's Family Reading Hour. I know we're just all just saying it wrong, but it's a great thing to be a part of. To have this people who are different and bring different ideas and uniqueness to this table for you guys, for the children and the families who are reading this or watching this or listening to it. We're truly thankful.
I love this. Again, because that's just, the world is so beautiful and full of different people. Even our group, what makes it great, as everyone said, is that we're different. And that's what makes our families great, our schools great, our times with our friends great, is that everyone, we can be similar, we can be connected, and we can be different. Because in the story, they were both plants, but one was smaller than the other, and it's okay. And that's what makes us special. And I think we may have said some new words we haven't said before. Cherish those differences. And then we talked about being unique. We may have used that before, but I think that's just really great. Speaking of the boys, we just saw, now we're seeing Edward. But yes, that's what makes us all special, is that we are different and bring something different to the table. So that's all that I have, Mrs. Farmer, unless you have something else.
I have one more thing, but that was such a wonderful, wonderful book discussion. We bring our uniqueness. We're all the same. We're all people. We're all people. But each of us have something special to bring to the table. And as parents, to be able to instill in that in our children, that as they grow, that we all are special and we're all unique, we're all different, and we all have something to offer to other people and also to our families. Love it, love it, love it. One more thing. Wendy Wiggles is going to briefly give us a move because soon Mrs. Farmer has to end, because you know what? She has to share her love with some other people. But I'll be back. Wendy Wiggles, can you just briefly kind of show us some moving and grooving?
Yes, I'm excited to share some movement. We've been sitting a while. We want to remember we have to keep our bodies moving. And I have a couple ideas that go exactly with our story. I know we talked about the seasons, we talked about food producing and plants producing food. So I'm thinking about a poem. It's a song poem about a tree, because a tree is a plant, and we've been talking about planting. And we're going to do some movement with that. So there's going to be a part where our blossoms open in the spring and we can move our body like that and open. And there'll be a part where in the summer, the breeze helps us bend and we'll bend this way. And in the fall, the apples drop and we can make our arms go like this, like the apples dropping down. And in the winter, we know it's cold, so we can run our feet and go brr. So here it goes. This is my trunk. I'm a tall, tall tree. In the spring, the blossoms grow from me. They grow, they grow. This is my trunk. I'm a tall, tall tree. In the summer, the breeze, it blows through me. I bend, I bend. This is my trunk. I'm a tall, tall tree. In the fall, the apples drop from me. They drop, drop, drop. They drop, drop, drop. This is my trunk. I'm a tall, tall tree. In the winter, the snowflakes fall on me. Brr, brr. Wow, we went through the seasons in that whole poem. The blossoms grew and they grew into apples. We had to be patient over the year. I'm going to just end with one more thing. I heard about the numbers 3 and 7. So let's take 3 giant, because we talked about giant stretches. 1, 2, 3. They were great giant stretches. And let's take some breaths. 1, 2, 3 breaths. And then let's end it with some twists. How about we do number 7 twists? We'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's a great way to kind of just bring our body down slowly. And always remember, like we talked about, to stay hydrated, just like the plants. Our bodies need some water too. Mm-hmm. Thanks, everybody, for moving and staying healthy with us today.
Wendy Wiggles, thank you, thank you, thank you so, so much. Whoa, the time has gone by really, really fast. We have done indoor planting. We have done planting outside. We have had a wonderful discussion around the persons who we are and what we have to offer. Mrs. Farmer has made a long list of some new words. Let me just run them by you. Unique, giant, autumn, gesture, pod, impatient, productive, wavelength, cherish. Did I get them all? And if I miss some, you know what to do. You're going to email Mrs. Farmer. You're going to email Mrs. Farmer where? At Mrs. Farmer at firstup.org. Okay? Don't forget, look at those previous episodes so Mrs. Farmer can send you the book she read along with the materials. I have a whole lot of stuff on the other side of this door that I have to send to you so I can send you more things. Well, thank you again for joining Mrs. Farmer and Friends Family Reading Hour. And until next time, we'll see you real soon. Have a wonderful and productive end of your day. Goodbye, all. Goodbye.